It's me. I'm back. Hi, it's Leica. And today I'm doing a video essay about how I think video essays are garbage. So my problem with video essays is really just, I don't know, this isn't a great essay because I don't have multiple points to support it. It's honestly a shitty essay if we're actually looking at like what gives an essay merit, because my entire argument is based on my reading strategy. So, okay, hanging out among sex worker Twitter and woke Twitter and leftist Twitter and trans Twitter and queer Twitter and science nerd Twitter and computer nerd Twitter and radio electronics nerd Twitter and Linux advocate Twitter and pagan Twitter and all the other Twitters, I get a lot of things thrown at me that people like all expect me to have the time to prioritize above the half dozen nonfiction works that are already queued up that I need to try to finish because they're relevant and important to where I am in my life right now. And I get all that shit, and I'm like, oh my god. But I want to read it. And I wish days were 90 to 100 hours long, and I lived 300 years and didn't have to work, so that I could actually read a significant fraction of the things that I feel like I need to read before I die. But that's never going to happen. Anyway, that's an aside. What I'm really here to say is that I get a lot of stuff thrown at me that I get expected to read. And the problem with, like, having to read all of that stuff is, since there's so much of it, I don't know what's important. And so what I do, okay, this is how I read something, right? I pull up the articles, and I kind of skim down, and I look for any indications that the article might tell me something I'm not yet familiar with, or little brief passages that might indicate that it's going to explain something in a way that I have not yet seen it explained, and maybe give me a different perspective on something that I'm familiar with already. So both of these are great reasons to read an article, right? So, I'll skim down through the article and I'll look for that, and I'll kind of try to assess where an author might be making their most salient points, and then if I think that those points, okay, this sounds like something that's worth my time, then I should kind of read it straight through, right? But I'm still not going to read it straight through, okay? Right? Like, I would love to, and sometimes I will. It depends on the style of their prose. I often do with a well-written article or an author whom I really respect. I will read it straight through, but a lot of other authors, I will skim a little bit and I will skip around some. And part of the reason is because my memory is shit, okay? My memory is just absolute 100% garbage, and I can't really remember by the time I get to the end of the article how it started and, like, how you introduced it and what it was you were trying to explain. Like, sometimes I can, but a lot of times I can't. And probably if I didn't spend time on social media and I still had an attention span and I actually got my ADD treated, then I would do better at that sort of thing. But for now, like, I just manage by jumping around a lot. So, like, I'll read things, but I don't really read them. And things that are portrayed in a written format, it is far, far, far easier for me to be able to go through and understand things the way that I understand them. I guess it's just kind of my learning style is sometimes I will have to jump around to piece things together in my head because I won't be able to hold all the important bits in my head, or I just simply won't identify which the important pieces are. Like, someone will write a fascinating description about something, and that's the piece that'll captivate me, and the main point that they just made, whoosh. So, like, I'll have to go back to it later and be like, okay, that fascinating description you just put in there was not actually the thing I was supposed to remember. It was the point that was kind of right after that I just, completely didn't notice because I was imagining this captivating description that you had just inserted, which props on that, keeping the reader engaged, but somehow I just kind of like miss the main point right after that. So that happens. That happens a lot. So, like, what this means is ultimately that I'm a bad reader. I get super distracted and I jump around a lot and I don't remember things. My attention span is garbage. And so I really appreciate when something is physically written where I can scroll through it. And I know some people do make transcripts of their videos available, and for that I am quite grateful, let me assure you, because otherwise I probably would absorb a lot less creator type content. But here's the other thing too, right? Here's the thing that I don't like about video essays. When I do, some sort of essay and I write the words down on the page, I can agonize and torment myself over the phrasing and how the flow is and whether I made the points in the right places and whether I pieced together things very well, until I finally convince myself that there's just no point writing the essay and I should just not even bother. And if there's no external factor that is propelling me to complete that essay, I usually won't. Sometimes it'll make it into a blog post, but I don't tend to come up with well-written essays unless I'm being forced to. So this is something that, unless someone is making me write a good essay, I'm probably not going to write a good essay. And what I really like to do, is I like to excuse myself, because I know that ultimately whatever I write, someone's going to pick it up and they're not going to read it how I meant for it to be read. I'm going to write, this is an essay about why video essays are absolute garbage and you shouldn't watch them. And they'll just read it as, this is an essay about why video essays are absolute garbage and you shouldn't watch them. And I'm not trying to say anything about anyone's reading style or anything like that. I don't want to judge anybody for their reading style or reading ability. I just confess to being an absolute shit reader and having shit for reading ability. So I'm not here to judge anybody on that. I'm just saying that when I write something, I know a whole bunch of people are not going to read it the way I want it to be read. However I write it, I know that people are not going to read it that way. Inevitably. And so I'll talk myself out of writing things. And so, the problem with video essays is I can actually convince myself that I might be able to express the things how I want them to be expressed. And that's a difficult thing to have to face, because I honestly don't want someone to be able to be like, yeah, that thing that you want to talk about, I'll read it. No, I don't want you to know what I think. I don't want you to dig inside my head and see what kind of garbage opinions that this horrible person has. No. So, I can talk myself out of writing most things, but here I am, just rambling my mouth, making video content, because, hey, it's a lot easier, because I know I can express myself the way I want to be expressed. So, okay, so the fact that it's not written is entirely why I hate video essays. And that's my video essay on the subject. And I really kind of guess that's it. Okay, we're done. Or are we? Are we really done? Did I just say that my shitty reading style and the fact that, I'm a garbage writer are justifications for my hatred on the video essay format? Or do I also just have this ongoing jealousy of YouTube creators who do so well, and I don't? And I'm like, but I shouldn't have to put in effort. Not me, spoiled, privileged me. I shouldn't have to put in effort like they do to get the end result. And it's not about luck anyway, it's about who deserves it. And there's a fascinating thing I just watched by Thought Slime on exactly that topic. Oh my god, it was a really good video. This is the one. This is the video. That's the one that was really good. Probably a bunch of strobing and shit there because, yeah, I just stuck my camera in front of my TV, which is kind of a no-no because it makes for garbage in the video. But anyway, I'm definitely jealous, And I shouldn't be, because I don't really make video content. That's not my thing. The video content I make, okay, I do make video content outside of YouTube, but that kind of video content is, it's different. Different context, different audience, different everything. So, yeah, I don't know if I can really say that I should have a reason to be jealous, because I shouldn't. But I think everybody ultimately likes to find reasons to help them justify their dislikes. And I think that's the main takeaway that I wanted to get around to here, is that I look for reasons, good or bad, which, I don't know, they may just be really neutral reasons in the end, and try to use those reasons to justify my dislike of things, when really it's the fact that I don't want to confront the deeper emotion of jealousy. When I'm like, I don't want to admit I'm jealous, because I think jealousy is a shitty way for people to be. And I don't want to have to admit that I'm feeling a way that I think is shitty, because then that reflects badly upon me. And I don't like to think bad things about me, because, you know, who does? So, so yeah, like, I guess that's my point, is that ultimately I can say I hate video essays, and I may have reasons for disliking them, which I've just elaborated upon in a video essay. Totally not even, like, self-aware there. I mean, self-aware, but really not self-aware, if you think about it. And it's just probably something else. Like, I can justify things, and I think a lot of people do this, right? A lot of people have things that they believe, and they don't really have a great reason for believing them, so they look for a justification. And I think that actually guides a lot more human thought than a lot of people really want to admit. That ultimately, a huge number of the things that we think and we tell ourselves that we have great reasons for believing, we really don't. And it's not necessarily that it's some garbage thing we feel, like jealousy, that drives some belief. It may actually just be that we have some preference or some belief or some opinion because someone gave it to us and we didn't realize it at the time. We picked it up from our parents or our culture or a church or a school or some shit like that, and now we're carrying that kind of crap around, and we don't really want to have to do the work to dismantle it. And let's face it, if you tried to spend all your time dismantling all the things you felt and believed and supported and all of that, it would be an endless rabbit hole of psychoanalysis, and you would probably never find the bottom. So there's good reason to not want to dissect every single thought you have about what you like and what you don't. But I think maybe what we can do is just be willing to say, like, hey, I have an opinion, and I don't really have a great reason for having it. And maybe that's okay. Like, maybe it's okay for me to be like, yeah, I kind of don't like video essays because I'm not a good reader, so I don't like to have to listen to someone because then I can't skim through the video, right? At least not as well as I can with a real article, and I'm not a good writer, so I can't talk myself out of writing things if it's a video essay, because then it's a lot easier to express myself. But ultimately, maybe a big component of it is just that I'm jealous, and I don't like admitting that I'm jealous of something. But maybe it's okay. Maybe it's okay for me to just, in general, not be a huge fan of video essays and sit here producing one. But, you know, like, yeah. Okay, I think that's it. I don't know. I don't think there's really anything else to add here. Just for me to be like, fuck, I just don't like video essays that much. So I watch some people and they do video essays. Like, I like a lot of the stuff that Lindsay Ellis does, and I saw a Thought Slime thing that was good, and Knowing Better does some great stuff, and Philosophy Tube is good, and ContraPoints, I like a lot of her work. But, like, you know, I'm not going to watch a million video essay creators on YouTube, and that's okay. I'm just, you know, it's not my favorite format, and the fact that I'm kind of a bad person for not liking that format more isn't actually a bad thing, necessarily. Because maybe you don't have to be a good person when it comes to every single facet of your day-to-day experience. Like, maybe some facets of your life are just neutral, and that's okay. So, yeah, I'm gonna shut up now. Peace.